I'm Josh Cooperman, and this is Convo by Design with a conversation about integrated and spectacular kitchen design. This conversation was recorded live from the Monogram kitchen inside the Pacific Sales showroom in Torrance, California. An absolutely gorgeous day inside and out. Simply amazing. This beautiful spring day in May. I was in Southern California to meet an extraordinary group of design creatives to talk about the revolutionary changes taking place in American kitchens from coast to coast, but specifically in California, where the dreamers have always come to explore, to dream, and to try new things. It's really extraordinary to think about the circular creative vision that begins with designers trying new things, which in turn motivates manufacturers to innovate and provide those designers with ways to push boundaries. We met at the Pacific Sales showroom in Torrance, California, a beautiful showroom, really, with established vignettes where designers, architects, and their clients can put their hands on the latest technology and appliance advancements. It's really, really amazing. So Pacific Sales and Monogram are partner sponsors of Convo by Design. I am absolutely thrilled with this partnership, and I'll tell you why. I speak with designers and architects from coast to coast and beyond. And one of the issues that keeps creatives up at night really is finding and maintaining strong relationships with industry partners. And it's getting more challenging to find good partners. Pacific Sales has been supporting the design trade for decades. Their trade partner program is robust with an amazing incentive program, and their staff is non-commissioned. That means you direct the process. Combine that with Monogram, another partner sponsor, and you have quite the team. Monogram is built on performance and innovative, exceptional products, allowing designers to create exceptional spaces inside and out, all with the goal of making your clients happy, because that's what designers desire. And so we were talking about exceptional kitchens, new ideas, functional multi-kitchen projects, working kitchens, kosher kitchens, outdoor kitchens, coffee bars, wine bars, weed rooms, medical and makeup refrigeration in baths, warming drawers, the unseen beauty in bathrooms, and again, beverage centers, outdoor cooling, warming centers, craft ice for any space. The idea now is that you can have the main kitchen, which is the heart of the home, and you can also have satellite kitchens outside and in bedrooms, kitchenettes, coffee bars, wine bars. You get the idea. But it all comes down to what can designers do with this material? How can they create? So what are some of the most talented creatives doing with their kitchens? This is why we gathered, and you get to hear it all. This conversation features Ann Michelson-Jan of Ann Michelson Design, Pam Barthold with Pazam Designs, Joseph Spearer of Joseph Spearer Architects, Corey Kingston of Corey Kingston Designs. And you're going to hear all about it right after this. I am just incredibly proud of this partnership I've got with Thermosol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design going on 5 years now. And there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the best in the world at what they do. Thermosol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide, full stop. And it's for a few reasons. First of all, they were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the United States, dating back to 1958. Thermosol, a US-based manufacturer, based in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody that I know of. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and if you're in the business, you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed, especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom, steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered a luxury. And if you want to add steam, you have only one true option, my opinion, and that's Thermosol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family-owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate in the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now Thermosol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, as I mentioned, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas, available in 3 designs. The configurations are absolutely amazing, and you should probably go check them out. Indoor and outdoor options. It's amazing. You really do need to check them out. Go to thermosol.com or at Thermosol on the socials. We talked a little bit about the idea and the concept that I will explore a little bit further. First, though, tell me something. And Joe, I'm gonna start with you, because you and I think, have known each other the longest.
I think that's probably right.
You work in, not exclusively, but primarily South Bay, which is, home for me. So typically, you're talking about smaller lots and a very demanding clientele. How have you been navigating this desire for more functionality in a kitchen environment, indoor, outdoor, and everything, with the same clientele in a smaller footprint?
That's a great question. So I guess first of all, we actually work on quite large lots as well. Palos Verdes, part of the South Bay, is we have multi-acre lots. We're designing a 25,000 square foot house for one of our clients right now. Actually, 2 of our clients are about the same size. So they're kind of different things that we need. But kind of going to the smaller footprint, I think a lot of it has to do with how the floor plan is laid out to start with, right? So we're doing a lot of reverse floor plans where you do have kitchen, family room, and a good portion of your outdoor area on the top floor, because that's where the view is. So we blend the interior and the exterior. You're not necessarily getting grass, right? But what you are getting is you're getting the view, you're getting the light and the air, you're getting the breeze, and you're getting the function of an indoor kitchen and an outdoor kitchen at the same time.
Corey, same question.
So in the South Bay, I do a lot of smaller homes, and I think the big thing there is we have to fit a lot in a small space. And so we are really just looking at how are we going to make this space work the most efficiently and get everything that we need in there, and then make sure that we can really get storage. I mean, storage is the biggest thing. And so making sure we can fit these small spaces is huge. And when you get those big spaces, like Joe's talked about, it's great. You have so much more opportunity and so much more ability to create a bigger space and have more things in it. But I do a couple of those, but for the most part, I have the smaller homes here in the South Bay.
And what's your process when you work with a client? How do you determine what exactly they want from a kitchen? And I will preface it by saying, having spoken with creatives for years, sometimes clients have no idea what they want. They just know that they want it, whatever it is. How do you determine what it is that the client actually wants, aside from what they bring when they bring the magazine or they show you on Pinterest or Instagram?
Me?
Yeah.
So we have a series of questions we go through, and some of those are just lifestyle questions, and then some are very specific for a kitchen. So we start with the lifestyle things. Some people entertain. We have clients now who never entertain. And we have clients who want to entertain all the time. We have clients who it's a lot now, I've been finding, where 2 people live in the house most of the time, but then all the children and the grandchildren come. So you need to create, kind of 2 spaces, or you can't have a table that goes from 2 to 20, right? So a comfortable place for 2, an easy way to cook small, but also for large amounts. So we ask all these lifestyle questions, and then we actually just created a kitchen inventory checklist that we give to the clients and say, could you just answer these specific questions? So, for example, how many sets of dishes do you have? I have clients with 10 sets of china, and some with one. So we go through all those kinds of things, and then how do they cook? What types of cooking do they do? And then we make our recommendation.
You know what, can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Because, so I have a pretty different approach. I'm really collaborative in a different way. So I do 3D renderings for all my clients, and so I'll create the base rendering, and then we get on a Zoom, and we literally start talking about everything, and we talk about it together, and I ask all these questions, and I'm taking notes in there, and we're looking at it together, and we're talking about, do you want a mixer lift? Do you want, you know, I have a client that wants 2 microwaves, and so we're talking about how we're going to fit all these unique, interesting things in there. Do you want a double oven, or do you want a range, or do you want both? Or, you know, and I'm getting all this information. How much china do you have? How much drawer space do we need? How much cabinet space? And so I kind of do it together. So it's a really interesting, different approach.
Well, I think we take the questions and then we go to that.
Okay.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
The other thing I think it was interesting is you have clients now who do not want a microwave, or they want a $99 microwave shoved in a pantry, and then I have clients that want 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
So all those things are very interesting and different.
Yeah, you can't make assumptions about that somebody wants the standard things anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key elements to this is that, and Pam, you know, you and I have had this conversation before about the approach from a national designer, as in someone who is working with clients on a regular basis across the country. Do you know, it took me moving away from California to realize that not everybody in the entire country wants the same things that Californians want, right? Is that silly that it took my myopic sense of actually having to go?
The same,
you know,
exactly.
listen, in the Midwest, there is a very different sense of style. It's far more traditional. There's a reticence, stylistically speaking, to go to more modern, to go to, you know, even adopting induction, you know, or different things like that. It's like, I like what I have, I'm fine with what I have. But the idea of the space changing, have you found any universality or any universal concepts that you come across as far as the kitchen in particular, both indoors and out, as far as what people want?
So, of course, there's a standard, right? You know, there's, you know, the typical, you know, stove, range, you know, that thing, right? But our job as designers is to bring, you know, the dream, the magical kitchen, what hasn't been shown to them, right? Anyone can do HGTV, you know, kitchens, right? They see it all the time. They see it in the magazine, they see it in HGTV. They use that word all the time to me, right? But our job is to show them what they don't know, right? And to show them that, you know, there's this great, you know, Scotsman ice maker. There's this, you know, profound, you know, pizza maker, you know, oven. There's all these amazing products out there they're just not aware of. And so when I was president of ASID, one of the things is I was talking about that, you know, Orange County is really a design mecca. LA, Dallas, you know, even Florida, Miami, right? And New York. And they have so much more than, say, like Sarasota, Florida, or, you know, the little towns in Indiana and even Michigan, right? And they're a huge furniture company, you know, manufacturing place, right? In Oregon. So it's up to us to introduce them. Like when I try to go to purchase anything in those kind of areas, there's nothing. They have maybe one furniture store, right? In Alaska, they don't have any appliance stores. That's amazing. Zero.
Listen, I was surprised when I moved
Isn't that amazing?
to Tulsa.
It's I can't imagine.
They do everything by catalog, and everything has to be barged in. And if you miss the barge, that's about a month later, maybe 2 months later, that you have to catch the next barge.
God, I don't have to deal with that.
So, I mean, you basically have in every different locale, you have situations, you have products, you have materials that are very specific to that area, right? So, and of course you have just ways of living that have happened over time. Maybe there's a temperature difference that means that you have, that there's a different way of thinking for the entire community. Maybe there's cars versus not cars. Maybe there's a lot of public transportation, and that can affect how you use your home. Maybe you need to stay in your home during extreme cold weather, when you might not be able to otherwise. I think that there's definitely that everywhere you go. And whenever we've designed in places other than just the South Bay, we've had to kind of take that into account. And as far as design process, one of the ways that we figure that out is by talking to the individual client, really getting to know them. So I think a little bit of your approach, where we ask 1,000 questions, we look at tons and tons of pictures, whether or not they provide any or not, to really try and get to know our clients. And we'll spend a month doing that before we ever put pencil to paper, because to us, that's why people come to us. They want something that defines who they are, but with our creative sense.
Florida's a really good example of that, right? All their homes are made out of cinder blocks. So they don't have the wood base and things of that nature, even steel frame construction. Mm-hmm. And so you have to think everything through for putting in all the wiring and everything like that, because obviously cinder blocks, it's like Legos. And if you don't put it in up front,
sure,
you can't go backwards.
Wow,
right? Like you can hardly put it, pictures up, right?
Right.
So it's a whole different thought process for you, right? As an architect, it's very different. Where you come out here, I'm from Philadelphia originally, right? So we never tore down homes. We value.
It's a California thing.
Yeah, it is.
Very
it
much.
Was
to tear down, we're tearing down a perfectly fine home. It was built, it was built 8 years ago. And we're tearing it down because it's not what the client wants, but they love the lot.
And how big is that home?
The home is 15,000 square foot. This is the one I was talking about earlier. Wow. This is the one that we're turning into a 25,000 square foot home. And it started off as a remodel, but eventually they realized, there's nothing I want to keep, and so we basically started over again.
So back to this idea of
it's amazing.
The kitchen. I'm curious. And open floor, open for discussion, or I can pick someone to go first, but I'm curious. Do your projects all have not matching, but similarly designed outdoor kitchens the same way that you have an indoor kitchen? Are you finding the additional butler's pantry, scullery? Are you working with working kitchens versus kitchens for show? What are you finding as far as how the space is actually changing?
I think that's very client specific, because I have a client who literally wants a grill this big outside and that's it. But they do have a back kitchen, and where the door shuts off and someone else can be cooking back there and they can be in the great room. I think with great room it really is nice. So if you do have someone helping you, it's not right where you're also watching TV or entertaining or talking to your spouse. We've done secondary kitchens that also serve as like a bar, like if they entertain for charity a lot, so that people can come up and they can use it that way, so it has two uses. I think that's nice. I think some people really want, like me, elaborate outdoor kitchens. Other people don't. I'm all for it. I think it's great. I like to be able to be outside. I feel like it's somehow less of a cooking chore when you're cooking outside. But some people don't care.
Especially here when the weather's nice.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing I have found as I'm doing some projects in Colorado, I was surprised by how much outdoor, even in rather small outdoor patios, because new homes in Denver are relatively small, how outdoor living is important even in a place where it's cold a lot of the time. But obviously they do covers and heaters, but they have a lot of outdoor kitchens.
So I agree with you. It's very client specific, right? I would say the trend, though, is still more openness, right? Where you basically have the kitchen open to the dining, open to the living, open to the exterior, right? So we just recently did we designed a home where the kitchen, kind of the wall of cabinetry, flows right outside and becomes the outdoor kitchen itself. That. All of the cabinetry kind of looks the same, and it's divided by sliding glass doors. So when it's all open, it really does feel like one big indoor-outdoor space. But because of that openness, I think people need other spaces now, right? So before, maybe you had a little bit smaller home and you did have divisions of space where somebody could be in the kitchen, be alone from somebody, let's say, in the living room or even outside. it's a little bit different now, which is why I think the trend is towards butler's pantries or home offices, things like that. Butler's pantries we're doing a ton of right now, and they vary everywhere from being able to kind of just walk in there and use a blender and walk out, right? All the way to entire second kitchens where you have another burner and you have, people call them the messy kitchen, right? Where you can go back and make a complete mess and you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's the genesis behind the butler's pantry. And I think it's, as long as people want openness, I think it's here to stay.
Yeah,
And I think it also depends. Sorry, I think it also depends on what the utilization of the outside space is for. For instance, if they have a butler pantry or kitchen, and they also have this large exterior, and they're going to have a huge party. That's what they do, right? They do philanthropic parties and things of that nature. They really don't want a kitchen outside. Right? They have caterers all the time and such like that. And so they really will keep that almost barren, and they'll have furniture, lots of furniture that is movable, and then, they have entertaining furniture, they have rental companies come in, so they use that space really for entertaining, these types of parties. Where there's other ones where they're summer homes. They're huge, they're large, right? But they're summer homes, or they're family gatherings at Thanksgiving and Christmas only, and that's when they'll have an elaborate kitchen outside where it's just to entertain their large families. So that's a new trend that I'm really starting to see, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I want to touch on the appliance pantry. And that's a new trend that I'm seeing everywhere. Almost every kitchen I'm designing now, whether it be a small 36-inch pantry for a smaller home or a bigger walk-in pantry, it's all stone countertops, so we can put our coffee maker in there, we can put the toaster oven in, hide it all behind doors. So even if you don't have a full mess kitchen, you're at least hiding some of those things because of this open concept. So that's been part of my design and what I'm seeing trending almost everywhere.
With regard to appliances, big and small.
Yeah, so if you have a walk-in pantry, definitely putting in ice makers and beverage fridges, wine fridges. I haven't done too much of actually a mess kitchen where you're really working in there. For the most part, I'd say 80% of my clients, it's more of an appliance pantry.
It's funny that you say that, and it was interesting too, because having attended KBIS, not this year I went, but not just this year, it was last year. Last year, I've never seen anything like it. I think KBIS last year, because coming out of the pandemic, where they didn't have the show for a couple of years, and so you had all of these manufacturers thinking and ideating and tooling and retooling, and Pam, you mentioned the ice maker, Monogram in particular, has this craft ice ball maker, which is just
amazing,
magical.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's something like you didn't actually know you needed it until you saw it, and then it's like, I really need that. But that's what happened. And so all of a sudden, you've got things that people didn't know that they needed. When something, for example, that or the coffee machines have just been, the growth of the coffee machine has been robust. The drawers, warming and cooling, wine storage, now getting the same respect, not in a restaurant or for hospitality, but in a residential kitchen. It's amazing. When that happens, how does that affect you as a creative, as a designer? Because now you've got to create spaces and opportunities for things that you didn't really need to do before. It seems like, designers and creatives are so forward-thinking and proactive, and sometimes, though, you have to be completely reactionary. When that happens, how do you address that, and how does that affect your design process?
It's very, I just was, told that I didn't know I could even do this. They wanted the Evo, the Evo grill, inside. And I was talked to the manufacturer, and you could put it inside. And if it was, right?
I didn't know, because it doesn't
shocking.
off-gas. It doesn't off-gas, does it?
No, it doesn't. So it was shocking. So as long as we created the right, thing for it to, not hurt the home, then we were okay. And so that was the first thing I had done, with the Evo interior-wise. And so that's a whole different thought process. That was a hard situation because, it's a circle, right? So do you put it in the middle of the kitchen? Do you put it in the proverbial corner?
It's like a Mongolian barbecue. Where you can have your family walk around the outside,
like
tip the chef that's amazing.
I want to see pictures of that.
Right?
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So that was, so all clients, you ask us, how do we do our process, right? So sometimes clients come to us with these obscure thought processes, and we have to accommodate that. And so we have to, really, like, they love the Evo, but, their weather does not permit them to have it like California, so we talk to the manufacturer, and we kind of see what they can, allow, and, what the, codes allow and things like that. And sure enough,
I think part of our job as creatives is problem solving, right? I think that's, being creative is very important. We have to be able to come up with new ideas and new ways to kind of incorporate different things. But solving problems is, I think, among the top things that we all do. Presented with this complex set of kind of rules and guidelines, whether the rules are set by the manufacturer or whether the rules are set by the client, you are basically given a set, if we ask the right questions, we're given a set of parameters that we then need to create something within. And I think that that's how we approach any of this stuff. I mean, if you have, if somebody wants, an outdoor barbecue inside, or they want a coffee maker that's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be used in a particular way, but they want it to be front and center, right? Then we have to think, okay, how are we now going to solve this problem? So I think it's part of what we do is we kind of react, as you were saying. We kind of take it as it comes, and we come up with creative solutions to those problems.
I think that's our main job.
Yeah.
You are listening to my kitchen conversation from Pacific Sales in Torrance, California. We'll be right back right after this. And I love this. I have a new sponsor partner on the show that I want to introduce you to if you're not already familiar with them. If you are a specifying designer, architect, landscape architect, or savvy design enthusiast, if you have heard about the quiet luxury movement, this idea of crafting a lifestyle around understated elegance, simplicity, and sophistication, there's more to it than that. And I will add uncomplicated living. Isn't that what we all strive for? I am extremely happy. I'm really thrilled to share a company that embodies all of this, utilizing proprietary technology and a focus on sustainability in their stunningly beautiful products. It's TimberTech. TimberTech is the premium decking company delivering multi-tonal, color blending, and natural wood textures in a product that is virtually indistinguishable from a natural wood product. What does this mean? It means it's everything wood should be. A beautiful look that blends seamlessly with a well-designed space, providing years of enjoyment and performs the way you want it to. No splintering, fading, peeling, cracking, or rotting. I had a wood deck at our Manhattan Beach home, and I gotta tell you, it was exasperating every year doing the random board flip, taking out nails, resetting them, restaining them. It was a complete pain. It was complicated, and I didn't look forward to it. I wish I had TimberTech, because TimberTech is not only uncomplicated, it's beautiful. It comes in over 20 finish options and 9 collections, and 85% of the material is recycled. This is premium decking for your next project. Learn more and specify it for your next design project. TimberTech on the socials, or timbertech.com, where you can find a retailer near you, as well as a number of tools to create, design, order samples, and get the expert help you may need. TimberTech is uncomplicated luxury, and performs. It's your choice for your next deck project.
Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration. Collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles.
If you had endless square footage and flat lot and no budget and no requirements, like, it kind of leads to maybe nothing. I think our job is to take all of that, the requirements, the rules, the regulations, all that, and then that's what we do, right? We take our creative brain and make it work, because we all do something creative, but it's functional, right? It's not just random. So I think that's a lot of it. And I was thinking when you said about what people want, ice makers are interesting, and there's so many different types of ice. And I have clients who I've done multiple homes for who do not have an ice maker in any home other than the one in their freezer. And I have customers that want 2 different ice makers with 2 different shapes and very specific. You have to have nugget ice over here, and you have to have block ice over there. So these are all, right? It's everything in the kitchen, I think, is so specific.
Yeah.
Or how about, I love openness. I want everything to be completely open, but I need enough upper cabinetry.
Right, that's the hardest one.
Right? And it's basically, how do you then solve that problem? And a lot of times there are creative ways to solve that problem.
Well, your 10 dishes, right? Where do you put 10 dishes, sets of dishes?
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. So we all learned that the open concept is not the end-all, be-all for everybody. We had an experience where, listen, something works until it doesn't, and once it doesn't, then that's the rule, right? And rules are made to be broken, and maybe at some point it changes, but I feel like everything has become multi-hyphenated at this point. The kitchen is not just the kitchen, it's not just the heart of the home, it's the kitchen and the conversation area and where our family comes together to bond and talk. It's where the most important conversations of the day take place. Now, we haven't even talked about cooking yet, right? It's a space, and it's the usage of the space. I was telling Joe, I recently had the chance to tour the Price Tower in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, which was Frank Lloyd Wright's first and only skyscraper. It will not shock you to know that the kitchens in the apartments in this building are minuscule. There's room for maybe one person. Maybe you could have a second person in there, but you don't have a family. It is small. They are angular. And when we think of great architecture, we think of Frank Lloyd Wright. But him or Neutra, if you go look at the VDL house in Silver Lake, that kitchen is tiny, it's minuscule. These ideas of the spaces have changed, and I feel like it opens up for you. Now let's exit the kitchen and go into the other spaces. So now putting kitchen-like appliances in bathrooms for medicine, for makeup, putting warming drawers in the bathrooms for towels, coffee bars, which are, I think, what we could all agree would be a natural extension of the kitchen. The wet bar is back. Sometimes clients, and this is a poorly worded question, but sometimes clients don't think about what it is that they want. Does that sort of add another level of responsibility to you where you're thinking, I know what the budget is, but if we were to take a smaller kitchen and put it in the bedroom, it saves you from walking down, especially in a 25,000 square foot house. How do you think about that?
I think a lot of it's quality of life. We live in our homes a lot more, we work in our homes, and so now we need them to function differently. And so we have to ask them all those questions, and they may not have even thought about it. They're looking at just the standard bathroom or the standard bedroom that they've always had. And so I think now we're like, hey, look at what I've done before. Let me show you this example of what you could also have. And it starts opening up their mind to different possibilities. And then it opens a conversation up.
It's very true.
I love designing a kitchen that doesn't look like a kitchen. Right, I'm doing one right now in the Huntington Harbor, and because of the openness, it drove me crazy to just see a kitchen and then next to this beautiful furniture, and it was this big disconnect. And so with paneled appliances, Monogram has beautiful white paneled appliances now, and then you then make the custom cabinets. So when you walk in, like the one I'm doing now, it looks like a living room. There's no difference, right, between the living room and the kitchen because it's so close. There's just this marriage between the two elements. Then you take that up to the master bath, and those are married together. So it's a seamless, elements that are all kind of working in coordination together. So you don't feel like, oh, I'm in the kitchen now, and it's utilitarian, and then I go to this beautiful space, right? And so I think that's with all the new technologies and new appliances and things of that nature, that's what we're kind of overcoming, right? It's like we're going here now, right?
I think the depth and breadth of what's available in appliances makes, anything possible. I mean, it's just amazing what's out there in terms of style and function. I mean, from Le Cornu to, Monogram to, they're just all different looks and styles and price points, and there's just endless possibilities.
So I think the other thing is I think culture has changed, right? I think that the kitchen used to not be where everyone would hang out, right? It used to be that you would go into the kitchen and you would cook for the family, then you'd call the family in, you'd be in the dining room together, and that was your togetherness. Now we have television shows about cooking. We have a constant YouTube. I don't know about you, but my YouTube feed is filled with people cooking things, right? And I think that it's just culture now, is people love it. They think that it's fascinating. They want to be hanging around the food. They want to be smelling it. They want to be part of that. And so I think that's what happened. I think that's what ended up happening. And you brought up the point of, maybe in a bigger house, maybe you have these kitchen appliances elsewhere in the house. 100%. I mean, we have wine areas that are kind of all over the place. It depends on how the individual wants to use the wine. Do they want to use it in their kitchen? Do they want to have it more accessible to a den? To a den? I mean, that's really the question. We have morning coffee areas sometimes, right? So sometimes we have a little coffee station by people's primary bedrooms, and so I think there's all of that plus more. I think food and drink and it's part of the whole way of living at this point.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, I'm going to put you on the spot. So, Corey, I'm going to start with you. And because you're going first,
Okay.
I'll give you a chance to add an addendum after Joe goes.
Okay.
It's only fair.
Okay.
Your perfect kitchen, not for your clients,
Okay.
but for you. Indoor, outdoor, what is, you can define this any way you want to. And it's not necessarily like, well, it's this color, because we could do 5 conversations on the white kitchen, whether the white kitchen is in or out, because it's the only thing, we were talking about this before, where the white kitchen, it's in and it's out, is always on both lists at the end of the year.
Yep.
It's the craziest thing. Your ideal kitchen, in your life, what does it have?
So I for sure would have a huge fridge with a way bigger freezer than I have now, because those French doors with the bottom freezer, those things don't hold much. So I definitely want way bigger freezer. Island, 100%, as much seating as I could possibly have. I find that, yes, when we cook, everybody's standing around the island, we're all conversating, it becomes it's almost part of the event, it's part of the experience, and then everyone's jumping in and helping, and so I think that's a big deal. I'd love the big range, the 48 with the smaller one, the smaller oven, because those big ones take so long to heat up that it's nice just to have that quick one versus having the countertop. And I think back to like the seamless, I'm a much more modern designer. I like clean lines and I like a seamless look. I'd love less upper cabinets. I like the big openness, and I definitely want it open to the rest of the spaces for entertaining.
I'm an appliance geek, so I would like to have all sorts of appliances that do all sorts of things. I also cook a lot, so it's not like I just would never use them. So I would probably have a back kitchen, definitely a butler's pantry. My butler's pantry would be for the china and silver, like a traditional butler's pantry. And I would have a back kitchen with some of the messier kind of cooking things. I mean, I guess if I could have anything, I'd have a big, huge Le Cornu range.
There you go. Go for it.
Yeah.
I would have a kitchen not look like a kitchen. And it would have column refrigerators that, of course, would be paneled, that would be married into the living room cabinets, that's married into the fireplace. And then I would have the, I don't want to say the brand, but the new units that are an individual wok on the countertop, an individual steamer, the individual, right? Instead of one big unit, and then a wall oven. Only because you have to have an oven. I don't cook. So someone who will have to cook and do that wall oven. And then the long, I won't say the brand.
You could say the brand.
The galley kitchen. Sink. Sink.
Oh, yeah.
As long as it can go, with a hot water tap, and the very tall faucet, and then of course an ice maker. Or two or
three. Just real quick, I actually designed a kitchen. It has a back kitchen. They did not want an oven in the front kitchen at all. And I finally convinced them that I think you need some kind of oven in this kitchen, like for resale. Like you have to have an
What
oven.
was your reasoning for that?
She doesn't cook, and the other gal will cook in the back. And I mean, I did win. We got a little oven in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
Well done.
So I also like to cook. I cook a lot, actually. But for me, I think, my need for beautiful architecture kind of takes over a little bit here. So I would have the only thing from an upper cabinetry perspective would just be the hood. So even a refrigerator would go in the butler's pantry for me. And I know that's very unique, right? Very close by, like right there, but I'd want everything to be wide open. Everything is glass all around. In blending again, indoor and outdoor with that outdoor kitchen. Lots of area for people to sit and gather, big island for people to sit and gather. But really it's the stove and the sink that would be the center for me. Kitchen nearby, of course, right? But in the butler's pantry. And then in the butler's pantry, we have appliances, all of the appliances, because there'd be nothing out on the counter in the main kitchen. Would all be tucked away in that butler's pantry. So I think that's probably where I would go.
And what stove would you have chosen?
You know what? I don't know if I've gotten there yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been thinking about converting to induction, but I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. There's a lot happening with that in my mind at the moment. So
I thought it was going to be the Lepanu.
yeah, I do love those. They're beautiful, but I don't know.
I have
We'll
cooked
see.
on induction. It's surprisingly good.
Yeah, and that's what I've been hearing.
Even better than gas.
That's
It
what
really
I've been
is.
hearing.
It is.
You do have to get used to it.
Yeah.
Corey, I'll give you a chance to amend.
I will also add that I would absolutely love to have a built-in coffee maker by the primary bedroom. 100%. I love my coffee. I love my latte art. It's part of my day, so that would be a must.
The one thing I didn't ask you about, which I'm glad I remembered because I wanted to ask you about this. Do you remember when?
She wants one too.
Do you remember when the refrigerators first came out with the television inset? And said, oh, that's cool, but I don't necessarily know that I want to watch TV on my refrigerator. And then it was like, okay, well now you have a camera inside your refrigerator, so if you're at the office, you can look in there and see if you need more eggs. And then it was like, okay, well now it's starting to use AI to think about, well, you bought eggs a week and a half ago, so it may be time for you to pick up some new ones based on your past. Really cool. You mentioned induction. So we recently went to induction, and it surprised me because going to induction meant we had to upgrade the panel because now you're electrifying more in the home. How do you think about two things in particular? One is this over-electrification. Going to induction, obviously now you need more power. Getting away from natural gas regulation-wise, so it's almost not going to be a choice. You're going to have to do it, which means more electrification, and the kitchen is probably going to be the number one draw in the house. I don't think there's any, unless you've got a crypto mine in the den, the kitchen's going to be the number one draw. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, do you think about, because everyone's talking about AI and how it's going to affect, and I would argue that it will affect the whole home, but probably nowhere as much as in the kitchen. How do you think about that? Not just now, because your clients may not be asking for it now, but they will be.
That's a tough question because the technology isn't quite there yet, right? So I think you're asking us to kind of look into the future. And I would say, God, the sky's the limit. I really don't know how AI is going to end up, right? I could see, you're right, already people have Alexa in their kitchen. Hopefully I didn't wake her up somewhere. And you're right, people do have those appliances that have that extra step of trying to figure things out for you. I don't think any of them are quite good enough to completely take over yet. But I do think ultimately it is, I was just listening to a podcast on AI and how it's going to take over the world. And I do think that it is going to be everywhere. But how it's going to be, I wish I had that crystal ball.
Have you guys seen the episode of Modern Family where Cam and his husband start having relationships with the fridge?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh my God, it's so funny. And she's talking to them, and they're both falling in love with her, and she knows all their needs. And I'm like, that's what I keep thinking of when you ask that question.
So those types of things are what end up predicting the future.
That's so funny.
People talk about how in the original Star Trek, for example, we ended up with all of the different technology that was so futuristic back then.
Oh, the Jetsons.
I was just
Oh
thinking
my
about
God,
Jetsons.
it's so true.
And I think with the kitchen, I think it'll definitely affect that. Maybe our stoves will automatically decide what temperature our food needs to be based on what we're cooking. Based on cameras. that are
Absolutely,
looking
I
at
think
our
we're really close.
Yeah.
Like the Brava ovens, smart ovens, and that there's now in several of the other big ovens. That kind of stuff's darn close.
I think it's also possible that the refrigerator might react and might change the temperature of your food. Maybe there are going to be different zones of cooling inside of your refrigerator, right?
For sure.
I don't know.
So it's
could see it
interesting.
going everywhere.
So I try to put the latest technology and things, and clients sometimes, come to me, I'm sure like yourself, they want everything the newest, right? So I had a client come to me, they wanted the newest of everything in one brand in their kitchen. And so I'm like, okay, so I'll send the rep up and they're going to teach you. Well, they called me. We can't get, the oven to work. We can't get the coffee maker to work. We can't get this to work, right?
Yeah.
So then we sent the rep up again for a lesson. And then again. And then again. And then again. She couldn't even get, the stove working, right? So that's my only, caveat to, putting this technology in that they're not ready for. Because I literally wound up pulling out all their appliances because of the frustration level. Even though they had an amazing rep that, was very good at, ABC education. It wasn't above their head, right? So I would love to put all that in. And so that was a little bit, disconcerting to start putting it in other homes.
So an example of that is tankless water heaters, right?
Yeah.
They're all the rage now. Everyone has them. All plumbers know how to use them. But I remember when we first put them in, there wasn't a plumber in town that could figure it out. You almost had to replace it at that point. And people would actually abandon them completely and go to tank because it was bleeding edge technology. And so, I like to be the second round.
Yeah, I think you're
Everyone's in a race to come in second.
Yes.
That's a good way
On
to
that
do
note,
it.
I have long
Exactly.
said that I consider architects and designers to be futurists because I think you have to be. I don't think you can wait for a client to tell you what
Very
they want.
true.
I think you have to be prepared. So for that, I cannot thank you enough for taking part of this conversation.
Thank you.
So thank you.
This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you so much.
As a busy professional designer, you know how important it is to find the right partnerships. Partnerships that allow you to specify the right products for every project. Professionals like you don't just have time to sit around and waste, right? So let me tell you about one of my partnerships. Pacific Sales is here to serve you with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commissioned professionals to help you specify the right product for all your projects. Non-commissioned. That means their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that, with over 60 years of service in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. And you will find all your favorite brands, like Monogram, and their commitment to providing exceptional products, starting with materials. Monogram sources commercial-grade stainless steel on their refrigerators, unscratchable sapphire glass on their cooktop knobs, durable marine-grade bearings on their dishwasher racks. Monogram takes inspiration from the leading-edge materials used in the high-end automotive and aeronautics industry to provide you with lasting beauty and exceptional quality. The beauty is backed by the same level of attention to performance, which is why Monogram appliances are trusted and sought after by chefs all over the country. Chain-driven French oven doors that can be opened with one hand, and an industry-exclusive hearth oven that allows for all-electric indoor brick oven-style cooking without the need for external ventilation. These are just a few of the things that make Monogram so special. Pacific Sales features Monogram appliances, and Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team is here to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. And here's the cherry on top, access. Access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands like Monogram. Visit a Pacific Sales showroom today to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, where excellence meets expertise. So, there you go. Amazing, right? Thank you, Corey, Ann, Pam, and Joe. Amazing. Thank you to my partner sponsors, Thermosol, Pacific Sales, TimberTech, Monogram, and Design Hardware. These amazing partners and listen, they're amazing companies, all who have made a concerted effort to support the design community through education, incentives, events, media, and exposure, not to mention a collection of extraordinary products and services to match. Check the show notes for links to each so you can have them on hand when you're working on your projects. Thank you for listening. Downloading, subscribing, and sharing the show with your friends and colleagues. Thank you for your emails. Thank you for your show and guest suggestions. Please keep them coming. Convo by Design at Outlook.com, or reach out to us on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. Thanks again for listening. Until the next episode, be well and take today first.